Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today we're going to be making this super fun Halloween card. We've got all these cute little elements and they come from this brand new release from Art Impressions. This is called the Peekaboo set. And you get the little Frankenstein, that little witch, a little Dracula, and that little window there is the little peekaboo element, and that will open and close. And you've got a cat, a pumpkin, and a whole bunch of little sentiments here that coordinate really well with this set. So I'll start off with the flesh color and the sugared almond pink to do the face. And I'll start with the pink there, and then I'll come in with that flesh color. Now these are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens that I'm using today, and these are a water-based pen. And so I'll use that Zig blender pen to do my blending here. And I'll be listing the colors up in the upper left-hand corner as we go along. So for the outfit on my little Dracula, I'll be using a combination of the light gray and the dark gray. And this will just give us some nice shadows here up underneath. I'm going to use that same color combination for his shoes as well, and also to finish off the jacket. So besides this Peekaboo set, which is brand new, there's a couple other brand new sets as well. And there's one called the Mousy Christmas set. And I did a card and a video on that last week. I'll link it down below if you want to check that out. They're just adorable. You get 3 little mice. One is holding a little gift package. One is holding a string of lights. And the other one that I used in the video, he's leaning up against a cup of hot cocoa. And it's just so cute. It's got little candy canes. It's just adorable. And that set comes with all the coordinating sentiments, some snowflakes, and a little gift package. And then it also has the coordinating dies as well. The other set, which I haven't done a video on yet, but I will be doing one shortly, is called the Harvest Together set. And that one's got 2 little scarecrows, a little boy scarecrow and a little girl. It's got the crows, 2 different crows, the cute little birds. And then it's got a little birdhouse, and again, several sentiments that are so cute. One says, "Happy Fall, y'all." "Hey, friend," Hay. "Cutest pumpkin in the patch." So it's really cute, got a lot of fun little sentiments, and that also has the coordinating dies. So keep an eye out for that. Again, I'll be doing a video on that shortly, so you'll get to see all 3 of these sets in action within the next couple of weeks. And again, I'll link that Mousy Christmas one down below so you can check that out. And I also want to mention that for ink today, I used the Versafine Onyx Black ink, which is a permanent black ink, to do my stamping. And for paper, I'm using the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. So now let's go ahead and do this little witch. And I thought her hair should be fluorescent green. I just thought that would be really cute. But then later on, you'll see that I do come in with a little bit of a darker shadow. I just thought maybe it was a little bit too bright, not quite spooky enough. So I'm going to start off with that. I'm trying to add some shadows here and there, but again, I will come in with a little bit of a darker green. So let's go to the dark gray and do that little band around the hat. What I'm going to do is finish coloring in these images. Again, all of the colors in the upper left-hand corner as I'm going along. And there is quite a bit of coloring here, but I do like to leave it in because I know a lot of you like to see that process. So I'll finish coloring these up and then I'll meet you on the other side. So that finishes up the coloring. Let's take a closer look at our little images here. And they are just so sweet, so cute. So now we can go ahead and grab some Woodgrain cardstock. This is from the Tim Holtz Distress collection. And it's got this beautiful wood grain pattern already. It's like a three-dimensional pattern that's already in the cardstock. And you can see that there. So we're going to go ahead and start inking this up. And this measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm starting off with the Antique Linen Distress Oxide ink. And I'll use my foam applicator tool. I'm just going to apply a nice even coating of this all the way around. This is just the base coat. We're going to start with this and then we're going to be adding a lot more to this. So I'm just blending that out. Now I'm going to the Gathered Twigs Distress Oxide ink and we're going to add some color here and there. I don't want to fill in the whole panel. I just want to get some highlights and some dark areas just like you would see on wood grain. And you'll see on that paper, there's some areas that look kind of like the knots in the wood grain. So you can kind of make those a little bit darker. So just play around with this. I absolutely love making these wood grain backgrounds. And there's several different ways to do this. You can use a stencil. There's other 3D folders available. But I just find this paper makes this process really easy. You don't have to die cut or emboss anything. It's already done for you. Now I've grabbed the ground espresso and I'm just going to pick and choose some areas to apply some of these darker spots. And I'm not doing a lot of blending here, right? At this point, I'm really just adding some ink and we'll blend it out here in a second. And it's a little easier to use the foam applicator tool here because I can really target those areas that I want to make a little bit darker. You could certainly use your blending brush, but I do find when I'm doing the wood grain process, I tend to go for the foam applicator tool. Now I'm going back to that antique linen and here you'll see I'm going to go over this entire panel again. And I'm just going to smooth out those ink colors a little bit. Now I'll take the black soot ink and I'm going to scrape that over the top. So I'm just taking the edge of the ink pad, just tipping it a little bit on its side and scraping it across the top of that paper. And that's going to darken up just the high spots on that paper. And you can see that adds a lot. Now I'll go back to that same black soot again and I'm going to darken up some of the edges here, just to frame this a little bit better. So you can get a closer look at that. So now I want to create some grassy borders for the bottom of my scene. So I've got 2 pieces of cardstock here. They both measure 5 1/2 inches and one is a little bit taller than the other, maybe about 1 1/4 inches and the other one is maybe about 2 inches. And what I'm going to do is cut these down using the Grassy Borders die from the Lawn Fawn collection. I'll go ahead and run that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine. And I'll do the same thing for that other piece. So let's set those aside. Now I wanted to show you this beautiful journal template die set. This is from Art Impressions and you get all of these dies in here. This creates a journal and I'll be doing a video on that upcoming soon as well. This is a new set and it comes with all these little elements. So you don't have to just use it to do your journaling. You can use it for all these little elements. And here I've just grabbed this little banner die. I went ahead and die cut that Peekaboo sentiment and I'm edging that with a little bit of black soot ink. So we can set that aside as well. Let's create our card base. This measures 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and I'm going to score that at 4 1/4. So that finished card will be a standard A2 size card which measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We're going to have it open from the top there. So let's grab the coordinating dies. And then I'm using some Post-it tape. This is just a temporary tape to hold this down so that I can run it through the die cutting machine. And there's that little die for the peekaboo window, and you'll see that this creates a little opening in that window, so it's very interactive. I like to place some scrap paper down just to keep everything clean since I've already finished coloring in all my images. And now I can show you here how there's little score marks there, and you can fold those windows back. So you can open those up and just tuck your little critters or your little Halloween characters in behind there. And you could use that little window for several other types of cards. So keep that in mind. I think it's pretty versatile. So now I've got the spider webs die set, and you get all these different spider webs in this set. And I'm just going to cut quite a few of these. I'm not sure what I need at this point. And I'm just using my Spellbinders Tool in one to poke out all of those little items. So now I'm going to add this little web right to the bottom of that window. So I'm just going to glue that right on the frame of that window. And then for the little spiders, I die cut 3 of each of those, of the small and the large spiders. And that also came in that spider web set. And I'm just going to stack those up just to give my spiders a little bit of dimension. Now at this point, I thought I was only going to use the one spider, but I did decide to use the other one later on. So I'll show you that here in a second. So now for some of these other webs, I want to add them to the corners of my card. So we're kind of creating the front of the house here. We'll put the window right in the center up towards the top, and then I want some little webs on the corner of the house. So I'm adding some little tiny dots of glue on the back here and then just pressing it down. And I'm using the Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive to do all my gluing. It's a super strong adhesive. It goes on white, but it dries clear. So I'll have this little spider kind of hanging down from that spider web. I'm just going to place it down, and then we'll add a little bit of stitching there here in a second. So let's cut away any excess. So at this point, something wonky happened with my camera. I'm not sure what, but I lost a few clips. So what I want to do is describe to you what I did here. I slowed this way down. So what I did was I took that little Frankenstein and I put him behind that window. I just cut his little legs off and I glued him in behind that window, and then I glued the window to the front of the card. Then I popped up the peekaboo banner above it with some Scotch foam mounting tape. And then down below, I added those 2 borders. The first one, the taller one, I glued down. And this front one, I popped up with some Scotch foam mounting tape. And then what I used is a combination of glue and the foam mounting tape to attach the rest of those pieces there. So that's all I did here. I just wanted to take a second and describe that to you. I know you can probably figure that out, but I do like to describe everything. So I apologize that I lost that little bit of footage, but I think this is pretty clear here. The only tricky part is to make sure that when you put your little guy behind the window there, that you just cut off a little part of him. Otherwise, he'll stick out below that window. So let's go ahead now. What I want to do is we're going to add a little bit of some stitching there for the spider hanging off that web. So to do that, I'm using my Pitt Artist pen. This is a permanent black pen. This is a 0.1 millimeter. And I'll just add a couple little dashes there. Now I've got my Wink of Stella clear glitter pen. I'm going to cover that spider so he's nice and sparkly. And I'll add a little bit of sparkle to these webs. I'm not adding it all over, just a few touches here and there. Now you certainly could use a glitter paper here if you prefer, for the spider and for the webs. And that would certainly be cute as well. But I didn't want them to be completely glittery. I just wanted to add a few touches of that glitter. And I'll add it here and there on some other items. You do want to make sure you clean it off if you're changing colors, because it is a water-based marker. So you do want to make sure you don't transfer that color to the next image. And this will just make everything sparkle a little bit more. Just adds a little bit more interest here. And again, that little window pops open. Now, I did notice as I was popping that window open and closed here that the inside of the doors are white. So I'm going to fix that here in a minute. I want to make those dark so that when you open it up. Now, you could certainly stamp and cut the doors out again and then glue them on the inside of that door. But I'm just going to color them in, and they came out perfectly. So I was perfectly happy with that. So let's go ahead and attach this panel to the front of our card. And now I'm grabbing a white gel pen, and I'll add some highlights here and there on my webs and many of these other little items just to make everything pop out a little bit more. Now, here's where I decided that larger spider might be cute up in that left-hand spider web. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'll just glue these 3 together and stack them up, and then I'll glue them right here on the top of this little web. And then we'll add some Wink of Stella to that, just like we did on that little one. Now, here's where I wanted to add some dimension to these, and I have these little tiny wiggly eyes. And they're little mini ones, and I'm going to pop those on just to give these guys a little bit more interest. And here again is where as I kept opening and closing the little window there, I just didn't like that it was white, but you certainly don't have to worry about doing this if you don't want to. I just went back to that beige and mid brown, and I'm just going to fill that in. And I don't want to color it perfectly. I want it to be a little bit rustic looking. So you can see that kind of finishes that off. So let's take a closer look at the finished card, and I love that wood grain background. And again, if you're intimidated at all by those wood grain backgrounds, that cardstock is perfect. It already has the wood grain in it, and you can color any color that you like. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. As always, thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.